I just want to preface this video by saying I made this video back in 2020 for one of my other channels, and since this is a dedicated gaming channel, I thought a remastered version of this video belonged here. I feel like everything I bring up in this video still correlates to today, so without further ado, let's get into this video. MVP 06 NCAA Baseball was released on January 18th, 2006 for the original Xbox and PlayStation 2. I would not call this a momentous day, but this was the day that the best college baseball game was released to consumers. It has been a little over 14 years since this game has come out, and I have to say it's held up very well over the years. Once you get over the 2006 graphics, the game is still super enjoyable to play. It is very much like the MLB predecessors. MVP 06 did not do anything groundbreaking, but it did provide college baseball fans with a game that was very enjoyable and had tons and tons of features to mess around with. The game also featured the old ESPN college baseball broadcast crew.
Hello everybody, this is Mike Patrick, with me my esteemed colleague Kyle Peterson,
which made for an immersive experience while you're playing the game. The commentary only becomes stale and wooden once you have put many hours in the game. Yeah, it can get a little repetitive, but it doesn't get wooden and stale until you get really far in the game, unlike I'd say MLB The Show. We might as well dig into the box and talk about hitting in this game. The hitting in this game is great, just like all the MVP games that came before it. The beloved hitter's eye also makes a return in this game. Like I said in my previous MVP video, maybe it is cheating to know what pitch is coming from a color scheme, but it does make the game a lot more fun. To me, the only thing that is odd is the game tries and forces you to use an analog swinging, coined as the load and fire batting system. Maybe I could just never figure it out right, or who knows. I just never liked it, and I thought it was super clunky even back in 2006, which granted was a super new feature at the time, but it's just not the same as hitting a button and swinging for a baseball game. Maybe people prefer the analog swinging in the game, but I for one could not stand it. The non-BB core bats in this game are seriously awesome too. You gotta love the sound the bats make when the ball hits it.
that one's drilled.
It definitely takes me back to my childhood. Before we get into other features, we have to touch on how unfortunate it is that the college players do not have names in this game. At this point, we all know why NCAA games don't have real names for the players, but that would have probably made for a better experience. Maybe it's just a nitpick, but it is just kind of lackluster seeing number whatever coming up to hit and not a name of a real person. I actually think this is one of the reasons why MVP NCAA titles did not sell too well and only had a 2-year run. Now getting into the pitching in the game, the pitching is solid, just like all the other MVP titles that came before this game. My only complaint about the pitching in MVP 06 is how you cannot change the dang camera angle when you're pitching and playing solo. I don't like to pitch with the camera behind the pitcher's back, and I prefer to have the same camera angle as when I hit. Maybe people love this feature, but it drives me absolutely crazy that you cannot change it. I don't get why it allows you to have the normal viewing experience when you're playing co-op, but it doesn't give you the option when you're playing solo. I'm all for features in the game, but at least give me the option to change it. That has seriously bothered me for 14 years. There are of course great game modes to play around with and spend hours doing, just like in the other MVP games that came before it. I still will always enjoy the hitting practice and spend a few minutes messing around with it anytime I play an MVP game. The College Dynasty mode was a take on the normal dynasty mode we saw in the MLB MVP games, and it featured year-round recruiting and stat tracking. It sounds like way more than what it is. It's really just recruiting players and seeing stats. It's really not all that immersive, but it's a cool feature, I guess, nonetheless. I just want to lump these next two things together because it really doesn't change from 2005 to 2006, but it still is probably better than what we got in 2020 with MLB The Show. These two things are the fielding and base running. Remember when you actually make a good play in the infield and not feel like you're stuck in the mud? Remember when you actually had the potential of robbing a home run and not jump forward like you're Superman hopping off a building? Yeah, me too. It's sad that a game that's 14 years old still outperforms a new game that came out in 2020, but it does, and the fielding is great in this game. Now the base running is simple and sleek, something a 2020 baseball game still cannot perfect. There's not much to say if you've seen my MVP 05 video or if you've ever played this game, but the base running was simplistic and better and made for a more pleasant experience. You shouldn't have to move your zone and give away to your friend that you have a guy on first stealing when you have a guy on third, and you want to steal the guy on first and maybe get into a pickle and have the guy run home, or whatever you want to do. This game of course still has the amazing feature of being able to argue calls and get thrown out of the game. It's glorious, and it's sad newer games don't have this type of stuff anymore. MVP 06 also has a ton of ballparks to play in. Most of the ballparks are actually minor league fields from MVP 04 and MVP 05, but there are some actual college fields to play on in this game, or at the very least, very similar to the real fields. which is pretty cool. MVP 06 doesn't have much on the uniform front, but that's okay. Back in 06, there wasn't too many college baseball teams that had 9 different uniforms like Oregon does now, or I guess like a lot of teams do now in college baseball. But it did have a lot of name brand stuff such as TPX, DeMarini, Nike, Rawlings, and Pontiac. Yeah, I know Pontiac, it's weird, but there's a Pontiac sign out on a lot of the walls on the outfield in the game, so Pontiac's also a sponsor in this game, so weird but cool. To wrap this whole thing up, I have to say for a game that is 14 years old, it is still super enjoyable to play, especially since we do not have a lot of college baseball options to choose from here in 2020. If you still have a working PS2 or an OG Xbox, you should pop this game in and give it a try. Also, quick little tidbit, the soundtrack in this game is also awesome. It's not better than MVP 05, but it's still pretty dang solid and it's always enjoyable to listen to. Alright, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Who's your favorite team to play with in this game? Mine was always the Oregon State Beavers, who actually won the College World Series in 2006 and 2007, back-to-back champs. So a fun fact for you there. While you're down in the comment section, if you could like the video and subscribe to the channel, that would be greatly appreciated. Until next time, guys, everyone have a great day. Thanks for watching.